Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's not exactly the start we wanted to this very busy festive period, is it? A 1-1 draw with Motherwell at Celtic Park. We're back from the international break in quite lacklustre fashion. But we need to talk about it anyway. We have to analyse what happened. Try to come to some sort of conclusion for what was a torture session today. It was a dreadful watch, a painful watch, excruciatingly painful. But let's try and talk about it, shall we? If you haven't done it already, then you know what to do. Like and subscribe, it'd be much appreciated. But we're here to talk about the game. Celtic won, Motherwell won, a game which I couldn't wait to end. Another game where 10 minutes stoppage time was added, 10 minutes of misery after Celtic conceded a late goal. Well, we scored our own late goal to, hopefully win the game, which was then, made irrelevant when Motherwell bundled a goal into the back of our net in the 90th minute. It means we walk away with only a point, which has left the big narrative of the day being what happens next with Rangers having 2 games in hand over Celtic. Of course, Rangers play tomorrow against Aberdeen. They've then got a game in hand against St Johnstone at Ibrox. A lot of Celtic fans accepting reality here that our 8-point lead at the top of the table will now be narrowed down to 3 points. So, you've had an 8-point lead there, you've kind of pissed it in the wind, it's gone, and that seems to be the overall narrative from today, and what's really annoying Celtic fans more than anything. Rightfully so. It's nothing more than frustrating to see that happen, and to see the manner of how we drew the game today, and the lack of quality on that park really showing through. It is just a very sore one to take, and in the moment after the game, and probably still now as I'm recording this video, us Celtic fans will be hurting a little bit, and we will be kind of licking our wounds, thinking about what could have been if we walked away with all 3 points. A lot of people feeling like we've invited now the pressure on ourselves to ignite a title race that maybe didn't have to be there. And, it's so frustrating because for me, and if you've been watching me long enough, I'm one of the most laid-back fans you can get in terms of, I try my best not to over kind of do things and get carried away and panic, and I'm going to try my best to still be like that. Listen, we could still be 8 points clear tomorrow for all we know. We could be, or 9 points clear it could be if Rangers were to lose. Realistically, Rangers will win these games, right? They've not been played yet. There's no point in saying that they're guaranteed wins, but let's be real, they probably will win those games. However, I still feel like we've got it in us to control this title race and control our own destiny. But one thing we need to do for that, and this is where I'm trying my best not to look at that as the general narrative of today's game. As frustrating as it is, and as easy as it is to use that as the kind of talking point and what you want to spur your conversation off of, what I'm trying to look at is now what the Celtic board need to look at and realise heading into January. That's my narrative, and that's what I want us to do, because we are good enough to control our own narrative. We are good enough to be in control of this title race, but only if the board give Brendan Rodgers the control and finances and tools that he needs to fix this team in January. Because that, for me, is the biggest problem at the minute. The fact you're chasing a game at 0-0 and you're having to bring on players like Mikey Johnson, and you're having to rely on guys like Odin Thiago Holm and Yang, who are young, raw, ain't nowhere near the level for a title challenge. You're bringing on other players, Marco Tilio, who hasn't played a game yet for Celtic, and you're expecting him to come off the bench. We have a real lack of quality at the minute, and it hasn't helped that our season has been kind of struck by very frustrating injuries. But you can't use that as the excuse. You've got to look at what you're given, and what we are given at the minute, and what players are there on the bench just simply aren't good enough. And that needs to be addressed. Now, Brendan Rodgers at the AGM sat down and said that January he plans on making renovations to this side, he plans on trimming the fat, and he plans on spending money. That needs to be done. Because if we do that, I'm more than confident we'll still go on and win this league, right? But if we don't do it, and we don't do it right, then that's when we're going to leave ourselves in a position where there could be a momentum switch. And that's the one thing I just don't want to happen, the momentum switching from Celtic to Rangers. And obviously Rangers have got it quite good at the moment because they've got their new manager, he's off to a good start, and he seems to be a genuine breath of fresh air for a football club that's been struggling for the last few years. But, we can't let them get too high and mighty on that. We've got to keep churning out results, we've got to keep winning games. And this just wasn't the start today that we needed as we play 11 games in 38 days. The squad needs improvement. The team needs to improve in general. Today they were hopeless. There wasn't really any positives to talk about. And that needs addressed. That does need addressed. You've got to hope for a couple of favours going your way. Let's not lie about it. Let's not carry on here. We need Aberdeen or St Johnstone to step up and do us a turn and make it easier for us. But listen, give Brendan Rodgers what he needs in January, and I'm more confident that we will go and do what we need to do. Today wasn't great, was it? And I guess we should probably get into talking about that. However, I know for a fact, listening to the Super Scoreboard on the way up the road, looking on social media, I already know that the comments section is going to be fun, to say the least. Probably a lot of negativity at this moment in time after today's performance. What I will say is, remember, we are still unbeaten in this league. We've dropped points 3 times out of a possible, 14 or 15 we've played now. This has still been a good start to the season, but you can see, kind of cracks there. And we can't just paper over these cracks. We need to go out there and properly fix them. So I understand. I mean, if you are venting your frustrations in the comment section, don't worry. I'm fine with you doing so. But perspective is key. And moving forward, I think that, we can be fine. We just need an improvement on today. There's me, the laid back fan that I am. Maybe I'm underestimating it all. Who knows? So I was saying this as I was leaving the stadium. God even knows what I'll say about today's game in terms of a match reaction point of view, because there wasn't an awful lot to react to. It was a very boring game of football, very poor on the eye. It was just a distraught kind of performance. But, you've got to give credit to Motherwell, who on one side were set up very well defensively. They made it hard for Celtic. Feel they took the piss a little bit with some of the time wasting here and there, but this is what these teams have to do. And I would love to get a chart out of Motherwell's performances and results at Celtic Park, because they do better at Celtic Park than they do at Fir Park. I hate playing Motherwell at Celtic Park. This isn't just a Brendan Rodgers problem. It happened with Ange at the end of last season. We drew in April with Motherwell at Celtic Park. I could count a number of draws with Motherwell over the years at Celtic Park. They seem to love coming here, and they seem to be able to do it, frustrate us and walk away with a point, or just walk away with a performance that leaves us a little bit agitated. It seems to be right there for Motherwell every single time, and that's just annoying. But they've got to take it and try and play against it. Sadly, today we struggled to play against it. I just thought we were very bland. For as much as we dominated possession, for as much as we had the ball, that final third was just a real kind of wasteland for us. We weren't creating anything too convincing. And then when we did start creating convincing chances towards the end of the game, we weren't taking them, which is a problem that needs to be addressed, because you can't go through these games regretting these missed opportunities that could cost you 3 points. There were some massive chances today, but sadly just not enough. And the thing about today is, for me, there was no standout performer either. There was nobody there who you could have looked at and really thought could have took the game by the scruff of the neck and changed it for Celtic. There was nobody. Nobody really stood out today. I thought that the team was full of people who were either playing, bang average, or simply not good enough, not to the level that we need. I look at the fullbacks today. I just thought they were very wasteful, very... they weren't terrible. I'm not saying Ralston or Taylor had shocking games, but you want something from these areas to try and push us up the park and move. But Taylor and Ralston, every single pass they were playing was coming behind the winger. Play the ball forward for them. They're having to, a winger's gone on a run, and the Ralston or Taylor are passing it, and they've got to stop, they've got to halt their run, and then they've got to go. And the ball's played behind them, and it's just so awkward to watch. It doesn't give them a kind of through ball or a forward ball that they can run onto or kind of take their momentum with. There's nothing like that, and that's a problem. And then in the midfield, it was just so congested that anything we did try, when it looked as though a player was going to turn for an inch of space, there was a Motherwell player, and we just couldn't break it down. So it was just a very frustrating game from start to finish. Once again, no standout performers. The forwards were very quiet. I thought that O came on and brought a sense of urgency when he was there in the second half, but sadly not enough for us to go and get the 3 points. It was just really, really painful. And I mean, what is there to talk about? I mean, we're going to come on to the talking points, the 2 goals in a minute, but aside from those 2 goals, a very, very boring game where I would struggle to talk about individuals or moments or whatever. You could have fell asleep through that today. And if you did fall asleep through that today, lucky you. I mean, you could see that Rodgers did try and make changes. They just weren't effective changes. the substitutes to try and bring in something to the game. He tried with the 2 up top for a while as well. Kyogo was a bit deeper than all, but they had 2 strikers in the park. He did make personnel changes, and you could see tactically we're trying to do something different, but it just wasn't paying off. I think that, that's got to be looked at, but, obviously the quality that we're bringing on the park isn't great either, but we've been through that. And the thing is, the quality that we do have at the squad should be quality that's beating Motherwell at home, should be beating St Johnstone at home, points where we've dropped, but it's not done it. And it's just a little bit annoying, isn't it? But, yeah, just a awfully painful watch from start to finish. Penalties are a genuine issue, not just a laugh going, oh, we're hopeless at penalties. No, they are a genuine concern which do need addressed. Brendan Rodgers spoke about it in his post-match interview. I heard it on Super Scoreboard saying that they are going to choose their set-piece takers, their penalty takers, and they're going to take them aside and they're going to work on it. None of this messing about who's taking them this week, who's taking them next week. They're going to work on it. They need to. It's beyond a joke now. When you get a penalty, you can't even celebrate it because you know Celtic are going to miss it. These penalties can define your season. The 3 points that a penalty can give you could be the 3 points that wins your league title, and we're missing out on that because we're missing penalties every fucking week. So that does need addressed. It's a genuine concern, and it's beyond even funny now. It's just incredibly annoying more than anything. So that does need addressed. I'm glad that we are going to address it. Will it be fixed? I don't know, but it's a problem that's affected Celtic for a long time now. We've not had a good penalty taker, a consistent penalty taker for years. Turnbull's probably the closest we've got to it, but the thing is with Turnbull, he's not in the park all the time. So if he's not in the park, he can't hit a penalty. So who does take them? You don't know, and that's been like that for 4 or 5 years. And that's not an exaggeration. I think that Edward was probably the last one that we had who was reliable at taking a penalty, and he left the club in 2021. So maybe not 4 or 5 years, but it's been a problem now and it needs fixed. Very, very frustrating. And that changed the game for us today. Not scoring that first one could have, been the first of 2. We did score the second, hallelujah, but then we write it off with some shambolic defending. That goal we concede from the set piece is a joke. The defending is very bad. We have one of our smallest players on the park marking some of Motherwell's tallest players in the park. I don't even know how it finds its way into the net. It was comical defending from a set piece. And you let your guard down at that stage of the game after battling to try and find 3 points, and then that happens to you. Oh, God forbid. Yeah, very, very frustrating to concede that goal. Motherwell probably getting what they deserve, to be honest, in that point, and us probably getting what we deserve for being very poor today. But that's something else that does need addressed. Just so painful to see a goal go in like that, because it's amateur stuff, it's rookie stuff, you see the kind of goals conceded at Sunday League level, and that's probably quite offensive to people that play at Sunday League level. It was very poor of us to concede a goal like that today. We can't let that be happening through the course of a season when games are on the nitty gritty. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there. We can't be bothered talking about this game any longer before I send myself to sleep. We'll probably go a bit more in depth about things tomorrow. We've obviously got Lazio on Tuesday as well, so we've got a bit that we need to work on and improve heading into that game. But annoying to drop those points today. We need to hope Aberdeen do us a favour tomorrow. Like and subscribe. I'll see y'all next time.